welcome to another special edition of Tilton the Scale. We're gonna kind of break down and evaluate the Patriots and how they played today, how they looked on the field, how we feel like moving forward. If there's a glimpse of hope, we'll hopefully talk about that. But welcome, Chet, and we're gonna introduce the one and only Cameron Bowen, number 2 for Goffstown Grizzlies.
Turn around, Dad.
His first introduction. Yeah, heck yeah. All right. Welcome, Cameron. Welcome, Chet. Oh man, Cameron, did you watch the game, man?
Yeah,
Yeah. What'd you think? Overall, go
I
ahead.
do not think that we really tried our best,
Hmm.
and I don't think that we communicated that good on the offensive line and helped Drake May that much.
That's fair. That's fair.
That's more than fair. I mean, that's a that's a very mild addition of what I would have said.
You can say it, Nate. This guy can handle it. Nate, what do you think of the game?
No, you're definitely on the spot, Cameron. Like they struggled in a lot of assets and on a lot of phases of the game. It was tough to watch, man. I just, you know, you hope that if you're getting paid to play, you go out there and you earn your money, right? Like,
Yeah,
and I'm not so sure it was the players per se. I kind of wish Wally was on here because I toot his horn. He's been saying it the whole time, and I think you've been on the same boat as well, Chet. Like the coaching was atrocious.
It
Like
was bad. We
for
gotta
us
get
to, for us to go through a week of preparation and stink that bad, especially in the first half, and especially the first. Just break it down to like the first 3 series. Like, hey, that defense is pretty good, but they're not that good.
They're not that good.
They're
My
not
goodness.
that good.
My goodness.
What'd you think? How'd you think Drake May did, Cameron?
I think he tried to work it out about the offensive line and what he can do on those plays to be able to move out of the pocket to throw the ball.
Yeah, yeah. I think, and again, why I boil it down to coaching is I think he does a good job when the play breaks down to getting out of trouble and helping out the team. But I also think that they should use that to the offense's advantage. And there isn't a lot of rollouts with play action or rollouts, to move the pocket because we already know pressure's coming. I mean,
We already know that. Yep.
he got hit all day. He was running for his life all day. They definitely had, he had a bad moment where he fumbled the ball. That was the one bad thing that I'll say he did.
Yeah.
Because it was in his face too. It was off the left side, but it wasn't his blind side because he was looking to the left the whole time. The pressure came up the middle. The safety blitz was picked up, but then that edge rusher ended up getting him from the front side. The pocket didn't collapse. He just came inside and stripped the ball. And I thought that could have been avoided. As much as Drake May probably doesn't want to pull the ball down and run, like he's gotta understand that he needs to do that in those situations and not try and work his way out of it. As soon as pressure's in his face, like he's got to move and he's got
Gotta move.
Yeah. So.
Yep.
Oh man.
Well, let's think, buddy. How about the defense? What do you think of the defense today?
No bueno, as they say in Spanish. No bueno.
Well, I think that part of their defense to try to keep them out and of the end zone and try to keep Dolphins from getting anywhere to try to throw it into the end zone. We did a really good job, like batting it down.
Yep.
Yep. We're good plays there. Yep. You're right.
And
the defense was terrible. To agree with you, the defense was terrible. There was open men all over the field. There was no pressure into his face, and like like I don't. Again, I'm not a coach, but I would assume your pressure packages would be right up the middle on Tua because he's shorter. He's not a bigger quarterback. He's not tall. I would think it would be right up the middle just to have guys and move them off platform, move them outside the pocket, and then hopefully there's a breakdown in coverage. There, excuse me, not coverage on the defensive side, but a breakdown in pass protection, and then the edge rusher is getting in. If they're setting the edge, right? The edge rushers are supposed to set the edge. So if they're setting the edge, then he's rolling right into them essentially, and
I see that.
and he's not getting outside. So
Would we agree? Would we agree that Aaron Rodgers was once a absolutely elite quarterback?
yeah,
Okay. So this year, what we've done is we let Aaron Rodgers look like Aaron Rodgers, like the old Aaron Rodgers.
yeah.
And now we made Tua look like Tua.
Yeah.
And that's embarrassing. Because every other defense that they play, they don't look that good. Like we'll see. I mean, again, jury's out. Like let's see how Tua does the rest of the year.
Yeah.
But I feel like our defense,
Needs to
like-
be better.
they have to be better. And I saw like Tua looked like Tom Brady out there today.
Yeah.
Like
Well,
every throw was a hit.
yeah, I think that is again another reason why I wanted Volley on here is because we got out coached. Like that
Oh, easy.
wasn't I don't think that was player
Yeah.
effort. I don't think that we got out coached. X's and O's were way over our head. We had on defense, we had no answer, like all over the field. It didn't matter if it was short. I don't know what Jonnu has against the Patriots, but
Oh,
he was on a mission in that first half and throughout the game. Like he wanted to hit somebody, like he had a personal vendetta against every person that was wearing the Patriots uniform. And that
He was severely, to your point, Mac Jones, sure, right? But he was severely underutilized as a Patriots tight end. You got Geno Smith and Hunter Henry in the same team, and you can't figure out a way to make your offense. And this is on Bill Belichick too. I love Bill Belichick, but like you can't figure out a way to make your offense work around those two.
yeah, I mean, I say Mac Jones because
I
again,
get it.
when we look at Bill Belichick's offensive philosophy was Aaron Hernandez, Gronkowski, and then who'd they have throwing the ball, like Tom Brady. So obviously those two individuals, as talented as they are, there still has to be somebody under center that again is winning pre-snap, knows exactly
Yes.
where to go. Yeah, and that's the game changer. That's the reason why he's the GOAT, right? Like
Absolutely.
pre-snap. Open your ears, Cameron, because this is what you need to do as a quarterback.
He's
At
right.
every level. A pre-snap, you need to know, you need to predetermine where you're going based off of what the defense is showing you. And as soon as you hike the ball, that's a changing and evolving philosophy as well. As soon as you hike the ball and you see the defense move, that's either confirming what you knew at the line of scrimmage pre-snap, or it's changing your mind, and then you need to reevaluate and then make a decision based off of that evaluation. And that's what we're lacking. And again, it's a rookie quarterback, so
Yep.
he's doing his best. But again, that I think
We gotta surround him. We gotta surround him. He needs time to throw. This kid is so good. We gotta find a way to get him talent. By the way, speaking of kids, this one right here, we lost in overtime yesterday, but he was so mad at himself, right? Although his worst day as a quarterback, other quarterbacks would love it. He threw only one touchdown pass
yeah.
and no interceptions. And a couple times the play got away from him, so he had to run out of bounds or like throw it away. Smart decisions, very smart decisions.
Yeah.
And we lost in overtime, but like we played a team that knew how to play against the pass, and they also had a good rush against the run.
Yeah.
And we still were in the game the whole time.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Hey, Cameron, let me ask you a question. When you're playing football and you have like a play that doesn't go your way and maybe you make a mistake, does that immediately leave your mind and you're focused on the next play? Or even though you're focused on the next play, are you still thinking about the bad thing that just happened that you were a part of, that you should have done better, you could have done better? What do you think after a bad play?
Yeah, what I think is that I all you have to do 5 seconds, think about the play, and then you go back and think about the next play, what you need to do, and you need to look at that defense and how they're playing, and
Yeah.
you got to figure out
Yeah.
like every quarterback's superpower is to like know the play, and like
Yeah.
who you're handing it off to, or like who's probably going to be open, or like who your check down is going to be, or
Yeah.
like today, like yesterday, I made a mistake when I had easily in overtime, I could easily have in short pass that's wide open, and I'm still looking downfield, and those guys were covered.
Yeah.
So I made a couple of mistakes there.
But he's doing great. Like
Yeah.
his worst day as a quarterback is other people would love to have that day as a quarterback.
Yeah, that's good. No, it's good that you said that because when I was your age and even when I was a lot older than you, the last play was always the one that affected me the most. Like I wasn't thinking about the next play. I was thinking about the last play, and that's not sports psychology will tell you, and your mind will tell you that that's the most immediate reaction that you have is that last play, but you can't let it affect the next play. And then same with the next play. When that one goes good or bad, you can't let that play affect the next one. So you just
To your
gotta
point.
5 seconds to
Please,
think
like-
about the bad play, and then you go back to think about what's gonna be the next play. You can't
But
be-
also 5 seconds, even if it's a really good play, 5 seconds, you move
yeah,
on.
5 seconds to think because you can't get too excited, and all of a sudden you're starting to cry because it was such a bad play,
Yeah.
and you were so excited. Exactly why you do that. But
Yeah, even when the good plays, like the good plays, that play's over now. It's on to the next one. On to the next one. You have 5 seconds. I like it. I like that philosophy. Take 5 seconds and then it's on to the next. It's good.
yeah,
It's almost like his dad knows a little bit about psychology. It's weird.
Yeah, it is weird.
I know more than you.
Yeah, you do. You do.
I still go to school,
You do. Yeah, I'm done with school. You're right. You're right.
but you're still the boss.
Hey, I am. Do you want to go take a shower? You can talk to Nate.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
All right.
Cameron, good talking to you, man. I'll hopefully see you soon, buddy.
Yeah.
For
Thank you.
Christmas, sometime around Christmas. I'll throw you in the
Hey.
snow.
Yay.
You want me to throw you in the snow?
Yeah, he does. You want Nate to? Yeah, you do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Of course
Yeah.
you do. Of course you. I know you. You know. Of course you want that.
Yeah.
We'll throw a football in the snow for sure.
I
Yeah,
love that.
yes.
I love that.
I'll put all like my I'll put a jersey on. I'll put my other pads that I got from Amazon, and also a Patriots helmet on. That's
Yeah,
fake.
We
It's
can
out of
do
made out of plastic, but I'll do that.
yeah, we can do the Oklahoma drill. Have you done that?
Oh yeah, I love that.
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah, it's fun.
All
Very
right, buddy. It was good talking to you, man.
Yeah. Thank
Take
you.
care.
All right, go take your shower, and then when Mom and Haley get home with the groceries, we gotta go help them. Okay? My man. My man.
Shower.
Well, if you're still in the shower, I'll do it. Yeah, I got you. What's up, my friend?
Not much, man. Hey, that was good. I like that, honestly. He could come in every time we do it and just talk about the Patriots if he wanted to.
Yeah, no, he's good at that. He
Same with Jeff. I'm trying to get Jeff, figure out a way to get Jeff in, even if it's for 10 to 20 minutes. Just
I would love it.
talk about the Patriots. We can start with that. He can come in so that it's early. But yeah, sorry. Man, this game, while I was sitting there watching, I was just like, I had a lot of questions, man. Like, again, I wish Wally were on here. I'll probably reiterate this in the next episode that we do on Friday, but the coaching wasn't there. We were out coached. The adjustments wasn't there. We didn't make any adjustments. I mean, second half, yes. I mean, we came out, stopped them on their first two possessions, but we got the majority of our yards. You know, when they were up by 3 scores or more.
Yep.
Like, not to say that they didn't replace everybody on defense. Like they had the ones in there, but they were playing soft, not playing the way that they were in the first.
They were playing the game. It's how the game is played. They were backing off as any defense would do when you know you have the game in hand, right?
Yeah, and I just look at that. I look at the roster and I look at what's going on in the field, and I just like I can't on paper we're the worst roster in the league, yes, but I can't say that we are talent wise. Like we're not in the middle of the pack, but we're not the worst. So then it has to boil down to coaching, and for the coach to be a defensive oriented and minded coach in general. Like, and I'm not going to sit here and call for anybody's job. I think stability and knee jerk reaction is too prevalent in the league. Like, we want an instant reaction. We want instant feedback from the interview that we had to hire the coach. And then, well, we see that on the field and we see it translate to wins. Like, I don't think
Fair
that's
enough.
I don't think that's how this roster is going to be built. Well, that roster isn't built this way. We know that, but it's not built for W's, but it is built for week to week improvement. And that's the problem. Is like again why I say it's coaching, because there were no adjustments. Again, the first 3 or 4 series were, we had an opportunity. I think the second series we got a field goal, missed the field goal.
Yep.
That's not a heartbreaker when we boil it down. The heartbreak is our defense, the first 4 possessions giving up touchdowns. And those weren't long touchdowns. We had them in the red zone, exactly where you want them when you're on defense. You get them in the red zone, everything constricts, everything tightens up. The space is conducive to the defense, and you stop them and hold them to 3 points. And like, man, we just looked really bad because we were giving up chunk yardage to go down the field to get in the red zone, and then we looked lost in the red zone, and it was
Super lost. Like
coaching.
I get that they were trying. Like I do get that they were looking at Tyreek Hill and Waddle, and they're like, we got to find a way to double cover these guys, and that just left Jonnu Smith wide open. And give Tua credit, he knew it, right? He saw it, and he knew where to put the ball. But man, our defense was tough today, really bad.
I wasn't paying attention to personnel and what side, but like, you have to stop Tyreek, and let's be smart about this. And I want to go back and watch some of it, but let's be smart about this. And we don't put our best cover corner on Tyreek, because we're gonna double him.
Yep.
Double and triple that guy. You put your best on the second best wide receiver.
Waddle.
That's a shutdown. Then it's a decision to make. Well, I'm not going to throw into double coverage. I'm probably not going to throw to the best defender pass wise on the defense. And now it's again, we're taking parts of the field away. And like, again, I'm not the smartest guy football wise, but it just seems to make sense that's the philosophy going into that game and the game plan. And who cares if everybody knows it? You still got to execute on the field, right?
No, yeah, who cares about that? And the thing is, I wish that they had dropped their middle linebacker into coverage on Jonnu Smith. Like you said, I do agree. After halftime, they made some adjustments. Good for them. But in the first half, the guy is killing you.
Yeah.
Like he's killing you. So
Waddle had 100 yards before half.
I know.
So he was again the wide receiver, and Jonnu Smith did really well as well, but he didn't have 100 yards. I would say Smith and Waddle accounted for probably 90% of the offense.
Yeah, Waddle had that like one really big play, whereas Jonnu Smith was like he's the guy that they were just picking us apart with, like
in the first
play after play after play.
Yeah,
and I was like, man, put your middle linebacker on him. And again, like to your point, I'm not an NFL coach. Like maybe there's something I'm not understanding, but when I looked at that, I was like, man, all you gotta do is make sure that he's covered. You get a man coverage on him. He'll still get a couple. He's really good. He's gonna beat the linebacker, but like he was wide open on most of them.
Yeah. And again, when we look at the beginning of the year, again, I'm always going to bring up the fact that we're $40 million short on the roster. And again, why do you go into that any season with money left on your cap? Because when we're talking about production, you want the best team on the field.
Yeah.
When you save $40 million, that's not the best team on the field that you're putting on the field. You have $40 million to spend on talent. It's not like at a bar or restaurant where I have X amount, let's equate that to, we'll say 40% of my budget for employees. If I have a bar in a restaurant and I'm constantly full, right? And I'm making money hand over fist, and the cooks are doing well, the chef's doing well. Like, wouldn't it benefit if the tables aren't full, or if I could bring more people in to increase production, meaning that I'm not overworking the staff, then I would do that, right? I wouldn't necessarily spend all that money, but it's going to end up hopefully increasing my profit margin. When you look at it on the football field, the profit margin that is the wins and losses, right? So if you're not spending money to put the best talent on the field, and again, that talent is going to be based off of how they perform. But if we're saving money and not spending that money, then we can't have no way to evaluate the talent on the money that we save. So then we look at, all right, so we're drafting and developing players. Well, how's that going for us? Yes, we have a really talented number 3 overall quarterback, but
We do. Yep.
the rest, what else? Like we knew how many draft picks we could draft this year, right? And we knew what all of that looked like prior to going into training camp. So that $40 million, and again, maybe that $40 million wouldn't even be on the field now because they're injured. But
That's true, but like they should have gone for some offensive linemen. They took care of the receivers, at least in theory.
yes,
They took care of the receivers in the draft, so you got to go in free agency and spend that money. And maybe that's what they're doing next year. Like maybe, I'm not sure of the plan, but it seems clear to me now, and this is fucking heartbreaking for me as a Patriots fan. It seems clear to me that there is a little bit of a tank job, maybe not from the coach, but from the people around him.
yeah, from management for sure. And
Yes.
I hope that I hope that we have some intelligent we can always have intelligent conversations.
Yeah.
But I hope that Bob Kraft and the GM Wolf are going to have very candid and intelligent conversations about what their expectations are moving forward. And the GM can, again, I want stability for every young player that's on the roster, every player that wants to join the roster as well. I want stability. I'm not saying anybody needs to be fired, but damn, if we're not doing the bare minimum, meaning again executing on those first 3 series on offense and defense, and if it's not 0-0 after that, like, I'm sorry, there needs to be something changed on the coaching side, because coaching it. So I thought about this, like, so how would the organization do this? Let's say they also want to create stability. Would they go to the players and say, hey, what do you think about this coach? What do you think about that coach? And then get their opinion. And like, if they want to play for him, then okay, we'll keep them. But then I thought, well, if everybody likes him, he's probably not coaching very well. Like, meaning he's a friend. He's not. They're not criticizing enough. They're not, because of the result that's on the field, right? And again, because of we always go back to Bill Belichick and his philosophy. Like, if I'm not telling you what you did wrong and how to improve it, then I'm doing you an injustice. And if you can't handle me telling you what you did wrong and what you need to do to improve, oh shoot, then you're not coaching anybody. You're patting them on the back and telling them, hey, that's great job. And that does nobody any good. That's not going to get the team any better.
I agree with that.
Is Timmy coming on?
Looks like it.
Dang. Did you invite him?
I did.
Okay.
I invite him, Jeff, Chad. I invite all 6 of us every time.
Chad even?
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Hey guys.
What's up, man?
Hey.
Hey.
You out for a hike, or are you just sitting outside? Oh, nice.
Is that a solo stove?
Yes, it is.
I have one as well. It is fantastic.
Nice. What's the temperature out there currently?
It's pretty windy. I'd say it's in the high 30s. I got my nice little Milwaukee little battery vest here. Pretty.
Yeah.
Looks
Got
great.
my sheepskin.
Yeah.
Perfect day.
That looks amazing.
Yeah, I have that same. Well, I don't have the same Milwaukee one, but I have a heated vest that I take whenever I go up north.
They're magical.
Yeah, they're awesome.
Should I use it? Because I go to Patriots games. Like in the last one I went to, we got very lucky. It was like in the 50s in
Yes.
November. Yeah.
Absolutely. They're so fantastic.
All right, send me a link, and I'm gonna buy that.
Hey, cheap,
All of us.
but
That's fine. I'll
Tim,
buy it.
did you watch the Patriots at all? No.
I don't we have like Netflix and stuff, but we don't have like a whatever.
Oh, okay.
Where's that even on? Is it like the normal broadcast networks?
You can say hi, then you can go read.
Yeah, it was on CBS.
I say hi, then go read.
If you have a local
Say hi,
CBS,
Tim.
well, your local CBS might have been playing like the Chiefs or something, but
You can say hi to Tim. Tim's
if
new.
you have cable, or
I tell you what, I haven't watched any football games this year, but I did listen to the Chiefs Broncos game on the radio on the drive back, and that was heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For the Denver Broncos.
I know.
So heartbreaking. Yeah.
It's all right.
Someone told me that Chiefs are the luckiest team in football. Like they're kind of like a 500 team, but they just keep looking out. Is that true?
No, they have Patrick Mahomes, who's amazing.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
And they have Travis Kelce. Like they are playing close games every single week, but like they used to say the Patriots were lucky too, but we had Tom Brady, we had Robin Gronkowski. Like those are difference makers.
a lot of the times luck is when planning and preparation meet execution.
There it is.
Let's
Take it back.
That sounds like an army phrase.
Hey, make sure you plug your watch into it.
It's not pertaining to being lucky, it's just pertaining to being prepared. But you can
Yeah.
equate, like if you're prepared for every situation, every scenario.
Every single time.
Yeah.
It's not that situation and everything else isn't foreign to you, so you handle it with poise more so than other teams. Like again,
Sure.
the Broncos did everything to win that game. The kicker missed it, or the kicker probably would have hit it. The defense executed and they blocked it. Like that's not luck. That is execution, right? Like their intent was to block that punt.
Yep.
To block the kick. Just like every time a field goal kicker goes to kick a ball, like the defense is trying to block the kick. It's not like
that's a good
beginning,
point.
so.
It feels better though saying it's luck though. So
I mean, most of us don't like the Chiefs or Patrick Mahomes. I'm on the side of history. Like I like what they're doing. They've taken over for the Patriots, and they're the new dynasty.
that's true.
They are.
They are the new dynasty. That's no joke. But like when someone says to me Patrick Mahomes is better than Tom Brady, all I think is they're very different quarterbacks, first of all. And then secondly, I think when Patrick Mahomes goes to 10 Super Bowls and wins 7 of them, then we can have a conversation. But until then,
There's something that Brady has. Like Brady has just the physical longevity.
Yeah.
Right.
Like
Right.
who else has played for that many seasons as a quarterback?
20 years as a quarterback. Yeah.
That's unbelievable. I don't think
it's
anyone will ever be.
I think they will, though. I think that's what happens. Is you set a standard, and then someone figures out like how did he do that, and then people replicate it, and then they get better. And I do think that I'm not sure Patrick Mahomes is that guy, but like I do think that there's some 18-year-old right now who's like, all right, avocado ice cream is my treat. I'll go with it.
Hey, why do you think it is that, like, if you look at the percentage of black quarterbacks over past 50 years, certainly increased. Why is that?
Because they want athletes. They want more athletic quarterbacks for sure. Like Tom Brady was an outlier even at the end of his career because he wasn't athletic. He was athletic between the tackles. He could move, shift, but he was truly a pocket passer. And like Patrick Mahomes, at some point, if he wants longevity and to like get closer to Tom Brady and in the accolades and all that, he's going to have to become more of a pocket passer. Because as he ages, he's not going to be faster. He's not going to be fast enough. He'll be able to move out of the pocket and get some yards. But again, the older you get, the bigger the hit you get. At some point, somebody's not going to care about a penalty, and they're gonna open up a can on every quarterback. Like there is especially when we get to the playoffs, because as soon as the top quarterback is out for the other team, like then it's a question mark. Like now the playing field is not level. We've given our offense the advantage if they can outscore the offense now no longer has their best weapon on offense. So yeah, there's going to be some times where he's going to have to make some business decisions and stay in the pocket.
So you think the game has changed, like how they're using quarterbacks has changed, and that's why there are more black quarterbacks?
Well, I mean, again, when you talk about athletes, like the athletes are all over the field. It doesn't matter black or white. If you're fast, you can move, change directions. Like that's just athletic ability. Like, I mean, that's where you want your quarterback to be in that bubble. I'm athletic. And then if they have the talents that you need in a quarterback, then that's just I think it does evolve and also the way that the rules have changed with, not being able to essentially hit the quarterback, the hip drop tackle, all that stuff. Like the game has gotten softer, and that is also I agree with Chet. At some point, somebody will be able to be in just as long as Tom Brady. Whether they have the success, I don't think that somebody can equal that success that he's had as far as the number of Super Bowl appearances, number of Super Bowl wins.
Incredible.
But I think longevity-wise, I think we will see that because it's just if they can continue to evolve, which Tom Brady did throughout his career, and he was constantly a pocket passer, always a pocket passer. Like, yeah.
His superpower, Tom Brady's superpower, was how quick he processed everything quickly. I think that we're seeing more black quarterbacks because the change in the world. Like I think a lot of quarterbacks who are black, there was a time, let's be honest, there was a time back in the day where if you were black, they'd think, oh, running back or wide receiver, you know what I mean? Like, and I think now there's more education to people who are black about like if you want to be a quarterback, this is what you have to learn. And I think they put more time and effort into that. So I think we're seeing it because the world is changing as opposed to the NFL is changing. I do say this. If you have a quarterback that can't run now, unless your name is Tom Brady, you're screwed. I will say that. Like you have to have a quarterback that can run, but like Drake May is a quarterback that can run. He's white. Josh Allen, the quarterback that can run, he's white. So I don't think there's a correlation necessarily between the change in the NFL. I think it's more a change in the world, in my opinion.
No, I would agree with you, Chet. I also would add to that, like, prior to, the Tom Brady era and then all the rule changes, it was the athletes were getting the ball more and you needed to hand the ball off to the running back or pass the ball to the wide receiver the quarterback didn't have the same skill sets. So the value was putting those people in those positions. And now, again, through society, through the rule changes, and also the ideology change in the NFL in general. Well, geez, if I have an athlete that can throw the ball and run and also catch the ball, well, I need to put the ball in his hand every time.
Every time.
At the beginning of the play, and if the play ends with it in his hands, we're in a good position. And by the way, I'm also paying him the most money of everybody on the field. So let's get our money's worth. So yeah, I think the athleticism definitely translated from I want a running back that can run people over and run by people and run around people to, well, if I can get my quarterback to do that.
Guys, I think I gotta go bring groceries in, but I'll be right back. But I will say this really quickly. I had Tim Constant on the right and Josh Parkins on the left when I was playing quarterback. You know how easy that made my life? Just throw the ball in the air and one of them will catch it. It would be the easiest life ever. And that's what Drake May is missing. And a lot of quarterbacks are missing. Like, I could just throw it high and far, and I know one of them will come down with it. And that is what the Patriots are missing right now because they are so bad on their wide receiver core. You got Pop Douglas, which is good. And in theory, you thought Kendrick Bourne would be the other side of it, but he was injured and he's just not quite there yet. But man, like we beat the prep school, Til'ton Prep School. We played them like tackle football, and we would whoop them. And so it's because all I had to do was I literally dropped back and I looked in the sky and just threw it.
When was this?
Coaches.
This was 1997, Tim. This is a long time ago.
Where was it?
1997. We were on the field in Tilton. Oh God, where was that? Actually,
It was right at the end of my road by my house.
yes, it was by your house, Nate. I do remember that. I do remember that. I'll be right back, by the way. You guys keep going. I'll be right back.
Yeah.
So what's the Patriots record this year?
Oh, they're 3-8 now. That's a good question. I think after today they're 3-8, which I feel like I'm okay with them losing because it'll just mean a higher draft pick next year. But I just think the product that they're putting on the field, like the fans deserve better, man. We're saving $40 million in cap space, but like that's exactly what we see on the field. It's like a team that needs $40 million of talent injected into it. Like it's heartbreaking to watch. Or I shouldn't say heartbreaking, but I just expect more from management. Like,
What's the what position do we need? Do the Pats need to get? Like if they had
they need offensive linemen for sure. They need offensive linemen, and they need a good number one receiver. They can get a good number one receiver with the money that they have. They can draft some good offensive talent as well. But I mean,
what's the use of saving $40 million?
Exactly,
like, what's the point?
Right? Exactly. So that's my point, right? So why save it? And the argument might be our roster was so bad, and we moved off of Bill Belichick. Nobody wanted to come. They might have threw a bunch of contract offers out there to players, and they were just like, I want to win now, and they went somewhere else. But again, to your point, what's the purpose of saving? Like if we look at Dallas Cowboys, when they signed Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb this year, as the season started, they saved $20 million on this year's roster by signing them. And that's what Jerry Jones announced. But like, doesn't that team look like it could use $20 million in a running back at a minimum? Like, or on the defense? Because you do yourself no good because you announced that and great. Like, well, now you look at it like, damn it, Jerry, you should have given them that $20 million and had it been saved on next year's roster.
Yeah.
Right? So I don't know. And like Derrick Henry, who's doing really well with the Ravens, I think they offered him like $8 million at the beginning of the year, because that's all they had, and he said no. Like he wanted 10 to 12. Like they could have signed him with that money that they saved, and he only has the most second most touchdowns of any running back this year. Like. And maybe Dak Prescott wouldn't have got injured, like a lot of scenarios could happen. But it's just, why announce it and why do you say that? We were just talking about this before you came on. Like, from a business perspective, I want to use all of that to put the most talent on the field, as opposed to if I'm running, a business. If I can save money on my employees because my production. My production's already maximized at the location that I have, and I've got, all the seats are full, and my staff is full because of the size of the installation. Then if my budget, I'm under budget on employees, then it does me no good to bring them in because I'm not going to increase production. I'm losing money, right? Actually, I'm operating on an optimal level at that point, which is smart, but. From NFL perspective, like that money is worth talent, right? Even one person at that talent level, at that number, that dollar amount should equate to a couple more wins, right? And that's what the fan base wants to see, is that it does them no good because I don't save money on my seat, right? Like I'm not getting 20% off. You're saving 40.
Right, they're not passing the savings on to us.
Yeah, so. Yeah, it's typical Sunday for you out there, or what?
What's that?
A typical Sunday for you out there?
Yeah, I went to church. We decorated for Christmas at the church, and we have we do this thing called Faith Family Hospitality where there's I don't know 10 churches in Fort Collins where we will take turns a week at a time housing homeless.
Oh yeah.
So like in the classrooms, we'll
Yeah.
set up the mattresses, and that's basically their room for
Yeah.
a week. And we'll have meals every breakfast and and dinner. And then they also have a I don't, it's like a case manager. It's not paid by the state, like it has no state relationship, but it just works with them about getting a job long term. Where are you going to stay? How can we make this sustainable?
Yeah.
Which homelessness is, I think, it's a complicated issue because you have to define what do we mean by homeless.
Yeah.
But the only long term solution for that is community and having people take responsibility for their situation.
Yeah.
And the worst thing is free stuff without any expectations.
Yep.
Yeah, and so so that's why you just of course your feed the bear is going to keep coming back.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think this is it's a really good program, and it's specifically for families,
Yeah.
or single women.
Yeah.
But no single men. Single men aren't allowed for obvious reasons.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's good, man.
Yeah.
That's we've kind of talked about it a few times on here about like how to, the free stuff, right? Like
Yeah.
people that are in need and you give them the free stuff. Well, like, what is the bottom line? Like, if it's just given to me, well, I'm coming, like you said, the bear's coming back the next day, look, expecting the same thing, and they're going to
Totally.
be angry when it's not, right? So
Yeah.
there's some expectations that need to be set there, and like,
Yes.
I always there was a good documentary. I wish I remembered the name of it, but it was basically about in the Bronx, how in the Harlem, the poor area in Harlem before the real estate boom, where a bunch of developers came in and bought up all of the slums and then basically destroyed them
Right.
and like put up like high rise apartments. They did that, so that happened, and then there's a school specifically that's in Harlem that is like top notch private school, really expensive. And everybody that was across the street in the slums in Harlem was like, why can't my kids go to that school? Like, and it costs like 24,000 a semester.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous, and it's like K through 12. So the parents are in a position to pay for that for their kids, and that like the school's like, well, okay, we'll give some scholarships, but then everybody else complained because again, well, now it's only certain people. But it's like it's that adage of like, I feel like a lot of people, and I won't use Republicans or Democrats, but like where we grew up, a lot of people are part of the demographic that, do you want this fish, or do you want me to teach you how to fish?
Yeah.
You have a fish every day. No, take the fish. Do you want
Yeah.
the dollar, or do you want the opportunity to make dollars that I have available for you? No, I'll take the dollar. And like, that you could equate that to the dollar is government assistance, just give me that government assistance and I'll move on the way, and I can get that more government assistance. And then I've always thought that like with welfare or anything for single parents that need assistance from the government, like, okay, you get this, but there's a caveat to that. You need to be enrolled in college.
Right. Yeah.
And oh yeah, by the way, because you're on this program, you are eligible to go to school for free, go to college for free. But it has to be with a state institution, right? State funded education.
100%.
And then
Bill Clinton did the best thing ever. I know, like, again, same to your point, Nate. I don't care if Republican or Democrat, but he did the welfare to work program, which I don't know why they abandoned.
Yeah.
But my mom, who was clearly the biggest sort of abuser of the system, she actually got a job when there was the welfare to work system. And I think she was happier. I think she felt more productive.
Of course.
I think she felt, I remember seeing a difference in her back then. And I was like, oh, okay. But then the
Yeah.
second that was done, like when George Bush came in and and actually it's surprising to me that Republicans weren't all over the welfare to work program. But the second that happened and the system changed, all of a sudden she was just back to her same old ways. And she did go to school and she got her master's, but it was through the University of Phoenix. You guys ever heard of that?
Yeah, absolutely.
That was a straight up scam. So then I'm like, man, like I miss this idea that like, okay, you want a better life, you work hard for it. You have to work hard for it. Like we'll give you a path.
Yeah.
And you can follow this path or you cannot. And if you don't
Yeah.
follow the path, that's on you.
Yeah.
Well, the
Yeah.
university, not to like, you know, not to say like I agree with you, Chet, but you're wrong. But
Yeah, fair enough.
the Phoenix University thing, like, I mean, it shows a level of intelligence, you know, like although that person that has that master's degree, probably depending on what it is, you know, they're not gonna compete for being the CEO of, you know, a Fortune 500 company, but
They won't.
again, it should put them in a position to be competitive in the job market when
Oh.
they're getting hired.
So you like, and I'm okay with it. Like you like the University of Phoenix, you think it was a good thing?
I don't. I mean, I'm an advocate of online universities in general.
Fair enough. No, fair enough.
Being able to get an education, because that's how I got my bachelor's degree, was through the University of Southern New Hampshire from
that's a
Lone
good
Star
program.
Studio right here.
Yeah, no, that's a good program though. University of New
Well-
Hampshire, that's an actual good program.
Yeah, I don't.
So-
I mean, I don't disparage the program on either side. I just
Yeah, no,
I think
I will
there's some
say this.
value in the accreditation and the degree itself.
Yeah. No, the Southern New Hampshire University did a fantastic job of figuring out how to make sure that they were able to assess the competence of their students,
Yeah.
even online. University of Phoenix was just like you pay a bunch of money, you take out a loan, and you're gonna get a degree.
Yeah.
And so that's what I'm saying. But like I'm not against like online degree at all. It was just that specific place. I just want to make that.
Oh yeah. I mean, they still exist, and they changed to your point, they changed their curriculum and changed the way that they test.
Have they gotten better?
Testing, yeah. Testing in general, I know you guys know this, but the way we measure intelligence and test is like it hasn't changed in centuries.
No.
Like
It's about basic competence.
well, but still, like people learn differently, and
Oh.
they can gain intelligence and show intelligence in other areas. So we know so much more about the brain and how it functions and how it learns. Why are we still testing the way that we did before we learned all this stuff about the brain?
Well, I think we've changed standardized testing quite a bit for that reason. Like someone like us, like I could say the three of us, and maybe if I speak for you and I'm wrong, like call me out on it. But like if someone put a test question that said something about like riding the subway and the green line or the red line, we would have no fucking clue what they're talking about, and we probably get that question wrong. So you change that part of the test to make sure that you're asking a question like might be more, I guess, widely appealing to people across everywhere. Like, because growing up in Northfield, New Hampshire, if someone asked me the red line or the green line, I would have no idea what they're talking about. So of course I'm going to get the question.
But is that intelligence or is that just knowing experiential? I mean, it doesn't take a high or low IQ to know red or green line. It's just you've done it.
Yeah,
You know.
exactly.
So
exactly.
But I wonder if I think there certainly are different kinds of intelligences that we've recognized. But I don't think it necessarily equates to because you're high in, say, emotional intelligence, therefore you have the intelligence required for a higher degree in education. Because I think that the IQ tests for the kind of thing that works well with higher education. And even though someone might be emotionally intelligent, that's great. And if there were like a university for emotional intelligence, then they would be selected for that.
Yeah.
But the kind of things that we tend to praise in, or at least right now, tends to be more that traditional IQ understanding. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, you make sense to me.
Yeah, I agree with you, Tim. There's, again, you get somebody autistic that,
Right.
probably can read and comprehend, but it's like, their train of thought is not focused on the question and the answer, but they can go and play chess with the best in the world.
Right.
They can do
amazing.
math like nobody's business, and like on a quantum mechanics level of math. Like, and so again, how are we understand that person is a genius, but if they were to take that intelligence scale test, they bomb it, or they wouldn't do so well. So again, how do we meet somewhere in the middle as far as how we're testing and evaluating and showing that someone has intelligence other than.
I think that's the problem with standardized testing. Like we just said it together, the three of us. I will say this, Tim, if I see you tomorrow, like randomly, like let's just say randomly, like I'm walking through Manchester to go to work and I see you, for some reason you're there. My first like instinctual response is to give you this like giant bear hug, right? Like that's my first instinctual response, where a lot of people who are emotionally different or they're just built differently might like even they might ignore you and you would take it personally, but it's not real. Like they wouldn't do it because they don't feel strongly about you. They just wouldn't know how to handle it. Or the other, they'd be like the barrier, like I'm gonna shake your head. I'm gonna do this.
Right. That's why for people like you, that's why I carry my rape whistle.
And mace, bear spray,
hugging me.
Why are you dry humping?
Get off me! Get off me!
Yeah.
Oh God, that's funny. Thank you, Tim, for that.
Yeah.
But the
my wife's family are all huggers. They love hugging, and I just don't hug. Like I didn't grow up hugging, and so my friend at work knows I don't like hugging. He's like 6'2". He's not a huge guy. He's like maybe 200 pounds, but he always hugs me and like puts his cheek against mine. I'm like, oh, gosh. When I get hugged by another dude and like our scruff touches, it reminds me of that scene in Avatar where their little tails things connect, and I'm like, oh, like my pupils dilate and like I see you. It's just so weird, man.
That's actually, what a fantastic way to put it. That's a great analysis.
We're both gonna give you a big hug when we see you.
Oh, great!
My scruff is gonna scruff yours.
No, I'll give you guys a hug, no problem.
Yeah, that's my point. Like you might be surprised to know I'm not a hugger either. Like I don't want to hug someone I don't know, but I see one of you guys and I'm just like, but like someone I work with or like someone I kind of know as an acquaintance, the last thing I want to do is hug them. And sometimes they try to hug me and I'm like, nope, no, thank you. Don't do that.
Hugger, man. I'm a hugger. When I go back, go ahead.
I wanted to this whole IQ thing. A book I've been slogging my way through is called The Master and His Emissary. I don't know if I mentioned it.
You did.
Did I?
Did, yeah.
Yeah. And one of his basic thesis is that we have because we have prized sort of left hemisphere thought, we've created a world that reflects our preference, and generally that preference tends to be a dissective kind of knowledge, where I'm very good at this particular thing. And so I suppose in defense of, or like the counterpoint, and more agreeing with what you're saying, is that what if we were to be able to evaluate holistic intelligence involving right hemisphere, or a holistic view of myself in relationship to the external world and making connections between things. And I don't know, maybe that will happen one day. But I think it is interesting that we test for what we prize.
Yeah.
And we want more of it.
Yeah.
We want more of that intelligence to feed into the intelligence machine that we built that only runs off a certain kind of IQ. But certainly, that's also presuming that everyone needs to go to college, which I think we all agree that ain't the case. I probably shouldn't have gone to college the first time around. I didn't know what I was doing.
Hey, would you actually, Tim? I actually forgot. Like, I know you went to UNH, but like, what'd you get your degree in?
Washing old people. No, I was originally I don't know, zoology or something like that. The only good thing that came out of that is in one of my zoology classes, we needed to taxidermy a mouse. And I did that, and I sent it to the girl I liked at the time, who was roommates with my current wife. So, yeah, it worked out.
What you're saying is it worked out. It all worked out.
God has a plan for everything, man.
It all worked out.
Yeah.
And then, but it was outdoor education. Right? Outdoor education. That was my major. That was an actual thing.
Like Tim, no disrespect. And I say this with respect. I did not know that was a thing.
No, it's okay if you disrespect.
I don't know what that means.
It's allowed. Yeah, man. I don't know either. It has to do. It's not like hiking and stuff. It's like using the outdoors as a medium for therapy.
Yeah.
Which,
I like that.
Honestly, it was. There's a lot of really good things that come out of it. So it just sounds kind of silly, but my first job was as a counselor for adjudicated youth in a residential treatment center, which was just a hellish kind of job. But there were some transferable skills there. Learning to deal with emotionally troubled people is kind of the definition of my career.
Yeah. It's kind of the definition of life, honestly.
Right?
Yeah, it truly is.
You will meet people like that through.
That's true, man. That's a good
all
point.
avenues of life. So
Yeah,
it's good to
I
have
wish
that working knowledge.
It is good to have that working knowledge, and I teach classes all the time, like different like little small universities, including Southern New Hampshire, right? And I try teaching the students as best I can about emotional intelligence because I think that as a country, society, whatever we are so difficult, and we are so hard on people who do not have emotional intelligence.
yeah,
So I tried to. I was telling the students, I was like, listen, you're watching the Kardashians and you're watching them fight and you think it's cool because they have jewels and they have everything they could ever want on their body. They're like, they have a heated jacket, right?
Yeah.
They have everything. And I said, so when you decide to role model them, like they're your role model and you're fighting, the problem you have is that you're doing it in Applebee's. That means you're trash.
And Applebee's. Yeah, you're like.
So I try to tell these students,
Bobby.
like, what's that?
It's like Ricky Bobby that when they go to Applebee's, a wholesome family meal.
Yes, exactly. Like you gotta understand, like when you're watching these conflicts between really rich, like super rich people, like fair enough. If that entertains you, okay, I don't even judge that. But if you're trying to replicate that because you think you're going to be like them, that is not going to happen. You're having the same fight. It's just in Applebee's, and that's going to be a problem for you.
Yeah.
Tim, you have a gorgeous outside right now. I'm like watching the background, and I'm like, it's amazing.
Yeah, it's nice outside.
Yeah.
It's nice here too.
There-
Texas. It's
Got a nice little
40 degrees warmer too.
Oh,
I
man.
got heat on. I got like a little fire on over here because it's cold.
Nice. Yeah. One of the themes. So I have I don't know if I told you guys this, but so we homeschool our kids, and dads are kind of hard to come by. Like dads tend to be absent in a lot of different ways, even if they're present. And so me and a friend started this thing we call Dads and Drafts. And so we just the third Saturday of every month we'll get together and have a particular topic. And this past week was on joy and gratitude as weapons. And what?
Sorry, I'll make sure I understand. As weapons, joy and gratitude as weapons.
Yeah, weapons.
Okay. Yeah.
So what is it? How does joy and gratitude protect um from envy, from discontent, things like that? And then how is it a offensive weapon in terms of like hospitality? How do we um not just not just with our words speak the truth of the gospel, but live it out with hospitality? And it was just kind of like a brainstorming session, but there's um uh the taking joy seriously is something that I feel like I've seen pop up all over the place in different settings in my life. Maybe that's just sort of confirmation bias, but it seems to be like um yeah, not like this the View uh uh listening to all these women talk about manifesting gratitude and like having their cycles sync and all that weird stuff. But like gritty joy, like what am I going to do to be joyful? What have I been given to to really enjoy?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I do. I do.
Yeah.
I can tell you that one of the things that recently I'm very big on feeling gratitude and luck or whatever you want to call it, right? Like I'm very big on that.
Yeah.
And I get to hang out with my boy, and hopefully Tim, you can join us. I hopefully as much as possible. But
Yeah.
I get to hang out with, like, we had the draft in April, and like Wally, Nate, and Jeff are all there at my house. Like, I understood
That's cool.
how big a deal that was. That was
Yeah.
so cool. And then Nate decided, and Nate, this is good on you. He's like, hey, let's try this thing where we all hang out. Like, because there's no way, like, we're all thousands of miles apart right now,
Yeah.
but we have this technology. I am super grateful for that. So,
Yeah.
like, I often think about how lucky I got in the fact that I have these really the coolest friends in the world, and I get to like just sit here with you guys out of nowhere and just have this conversation is so fun. So I get what you're saying, Tim. I get what you're
Yeah.
saying. Gratitude's a big deal.
Yeah, you talked about gratitude before, Chet, when we talked about mental health and like how
Yes,
to
we did.
like not only manage it but infuse it. Like, because Tim, this is something that I used to do when I was in the military. Every senior leader has to go through what's called the
Can hear you.
MRT. It's Master Resiliency Training. So
Uh-huh.
you basically learn how to deal with stress, how to do, like, it's a lot of things at the senior level. You probably already, in order to get there, you've already been doing these things, but it's things that you need to teach the younger generation and your soldiers how to deal with.
Yeah.
When stressors enter their life, how to manage those life. It's really life in general, but you get soldiers, and you might see it with coworkers, younger coworkers, like their girlfriend breaks up with them, like it's game over, man. End of the world. Like
Yeah.
like there isn't 150 million other females in the United States, that could potentially like you. Like, it's just game over. So managing those expectations, like, and one thing that we talked about specifically was in order to manage your expectations, or to end the day and start the day with reflecting on joy and gratitude. You end the day, it's a journal entry. You end the day with 3 things that you experienced throughout the day that you are thankful for, you have gratitude for, or brought you joy. And then you go to sleep, you reflect on that, go to sleep, you wake up in the morning and you read that again. You're ending the day and starting the day on a positive note.
Yeah.
You're infusing that, because inherently, like, the negative bias in our brain is like, it is a real thing. Like, if I come up to you, not necessarily as a stranger, but if I ask you, hey, how was your day? Like, probably the first 2 or 3 things that pop into your head were the heightened emotional experiences that pissed you off.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like, oh, this guy cut me off at the red light, and then like the person that made my coffee at Starbucks made it wrong, and like, well, like, did you communicate effectively with that person? Like, there's but you reflect.
Yeah.
The negative bias brings you back to the bad things, the heightened emotion, the heightened emotional response, which is normally anger, or something that infuriates you. So if
Mm.
if you your mind inherently wants to go in that direction, so it's an aspect that you need to train on and practice on, thinking about joy, telling yourself how grateful you are about things in your life. So if you don't do that, then you're inherently going to be in that negative bias, and you won't easily think of things that bring you joy, except for like on Thanksgiving, when everyone else is thinking about it. But yeah, that's an exercise that we used to do in the military. And then with the military used to take it a step further. So like for me specifically, the people I work with individually, and if it's a small team, then I would talk to them before we even start work. We're talking about, all right, we call it hunt the good stuff. Tell me something that you're grateful for in your life before we even start work. It's 8 a.m. We're not getting to work until we do this. It's a choice to share. It's a choice to share. So as a leader, I would share, and then they're gaining knowledge on me and things that I hold in high regards in my life. And then when they share, when they open up their shell and share their gratitude, then I learn something more about them as a person and an individual. And then, again, you learn something about everybody else, and then you go on to work. And then hopefully by the end of doing this exercise for a few weeks, everyone's sharing, everyone's comfortable opening up. And then we're all, again, gaining more knowledge, getting more personal with each other. So,
Hey, I was thinking about this. I was wondering if you could think of, you guys, who are, I don't know, who are a handful of thinkers that have influenced you over the past 20, 25 years? Did anybody come to mind that you
20, 25 years? Yeah, hell yeah. I have a bunch of people come to mind.
Who?
Give us one. Yeah,
you number one.
I gotta think about it.
Well,
what's that, Nate? Sorry, go ahead.
You were saying Tim is one of yours?
Oh, easy. We had so many conversations in college that were like really deep. Yeah.
Well, that's cool.
I swear I wasn't fishing for compliments. I was thinking more like, people you've listened, whatever.
I believe you. I believe you.
It doesn't have to be professional, but books you've read. It could be personal relationships, but like kind of the 3 or 4.
I'll say Ray Kurzweil. He's very good at understanding technology and
the singularity guy, right?
What's that?
That's the singularity guy, right?
Holy shit.
Is that right? Didn't you write about the singularity?
Ray Kurzweil?
This guy is so smart when it comes to like what's coming next. I read it in college. It wasn't this book. I can't wait to read this book. But he wrote a book when I was in college called The Age of Spiritual Machines. And I read that and I was like, and he wasn't talking about like actually being spiritual. He was talking about like the idea that maybe they can become sentient. And he was not sure it could ever happen, but he was like saying, what if? And fascinated by that stuff. So that's 2. So Tim, you're 1. Tim, I'm not even kidding. You're really 1.
Well, thank you. That's great.
And then Ray Kurzweil, but I don't want to monopolize. What else we got?
I mean, I guess mine would be I don't know. They're not all people I know on a personal level, but they're veterans that have written books about their stories and how they've handled things and put things in perspective for me and how to move on after the military, etc. And like Jocko Willink is one of them, just because the book that he wrote, Extreme Ownership, and I mean that's just the way everything he equated to, he pivoted from military training to how it works in the workforce and in the business world, which was eye-opening for me to hear somebody, not just to hear somebody say that, but also like to have a huge buy-in on the corporate side, and people that are like
Right.
just eating that shit up like it's chocolate chip cookies, like they love it. And then just other veterans that have written books. Tim
Yeah.
Jones is one of them. He's got a good book, Scars and Stripes.
Scars and Stripes. Okay.
I like Willing, doesn't he do like that thing where he's like, good, I just lost my job. Good. That
Yeah.
means I can find another
Now
one.
you can get a
Broke
new
my
one
leg.
that
Good.
you good. You
Yeah.
can get a new one that you like.
Right.
like,
Yeah.
You know.
I
Yeah.
like that.
Who's this guy?
Jocko Willink.
Well, why don't you send me the link to the
Yeah, I'll
book?
send it to you. Yeah.
Thank
I'll
you.
send it to you.
He's done at least one podcast with Rogan, and he has his own podcast
Yeah,
too.
he
I
has his
worry
own
so
podcast.
much. I worry so much about losing my job, even though I know I'm killing it. Like I always worry, like, oh my God, my whole life is gonna fall apart. I'm gonna fail my kids. I'm gonna fail my wife. So that when you say that this guy's like lost my job, good. I'm very intrigued by that.
Well,
What you're thinking.
I'm sure that there's probably some limits. Like, I'm a crack whore. Good. I can turn
Yeah,
tricks on the street.
Yeah, definitely some limits for sure. Like,
I get the limits. What I'm saying is like, I think sometimes I might get too much anxiety about like
Yeah.
what happens if I lose my job because oh my God.
Yeah.
And even though I know I can figure it out and I'll like deep down I know that like it sounds like this guy's book would be helpful for me. So I will read that.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'll send you the link for sure.
Thank you.
That's cool.
Joe Rogan is also one of mine as well.
Oh, really?
Like
Joe
yeah,
Rogan, tell us
love-
about that.
I love his podcast. I mean,
Yeah.
it's part of him influencing the people to come onto his show and express their ideas and their things. I mean,
Yeah.
like I think I like his attitude about life. I mean, he's a comedian. He's into jujitsu and martial arts. Like he's super disciplined in a lot of different areas in his life. And he's not military, but I believe that a lot of the discipline that he has in life came from martial arts. And
I agree with that.
The warrior mentality, like, there's something to be said about, and I've had this conversation with many people, but like, me as a leader in the military, you can talk back and you can mouth off all you want because you're either going to respect me or you're not. But there's some people, no matter what you say, no matter what you do, they're still going to be disrespectful. But now, as soon as you put some boxing gloves on, or we do some training where it's hand-to-hand combat and it's me against you, whether I beat you or not, if I punch you in the face and you punch me in the face, we're going to have a different level of respect for each other. And I guarantee you won't be mouthing off anymore because you'll be thinking about, I can't do anything. I've already punched this guy as hard as I can. And, like it's lost energy. So I'm just going to eat the words or eat the.
Love that. I love that.
I mean, on a level of respect, like you will never have more respect for a person that you get into a ring and spar with. I guarantee you that.
Yeah.
You might hate them as a person, but again, that hate can only go so far because you're not going to do anything with it if you can't whoop their ass.
Yeah.
And also you're training, so you're both trying to get better, and that's a different level of respect in general. So,
no, I can see a mutual respect certainly happening over time when you do that. I get that.
There's so much more to be gained in something like that, and jiu-jitsu is no different. Like jiu-jitsu, you roll around with people from different worlds. Like you might look at that guy on the sidewalk and he's like, he looks like he's homeless, but he comes into the gym, he's super disciplined, and he can put you in an arm bar before you blink. Like,
yeah,
he's got some skill levels to him, and there's a different level of respect there, and then that opens up the conversational piece about getting to know somebody and learning who they are and what they do for a living and all that. So yeah,
it all makes sense. Tim, what about you? What are you got two?
I let's see, a couple of pastors. One's named John Piper. He's pretty well known. I'm a guy named Doug Wilson, and then a guy named Walker Percy, who I haven't. He's a novelist.
Yeah.
he also wrote some nonfiction books about symbols. I think like one of the big themes of my life um is symbols and understanding ourselves through symbols and what symbols do for us and how we communicate. Or any communication is just a string of symbols. And so
symbology, like symbology, or like what?
well, I mean the technical term for that study is semiotics, which is semios means is Greek for signs, and so a study of sign and we humans are just meaning makers. It's all we do all the time is we make meaning, and with how we name things, how we understand things, and so uh, one of the one of the applications for that is I'm writing like a little I intend for it to be like a little 50, 60 page booklet that I just got to give out to people in my church about using wine instead of grape juice for communion, which sounds kind of dumb, but it has all to do with symbols and and what symbols are intended to be for us as a stand-in in a way for a real thing. And when we it's through symbols that we find meaning. And when we divorce ourselves basically from you cut symbols from where they're tethered from, and a symbol becomes a mere symbol, like it's arbitrary, right? Yeah, it's man-made. We just made up this symbol. That's when you get things like I think transgenderism is sort of an outworking of that. Um, there's nothing meaningful about me as a human, as a symbol. So I'm going to make myself into a symbol of my own choosing. Anyway, that's a huge rabbit trail, but yeah, so Walker Percy and then a couple of pastors. And probably just being taught how to think. Like I don't know about you guys, but I didn't really feel like high school taught me how to think.
Like critical thinking?
Yeah, I guess
Yeah.
critical thinking.
Not even a little.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah,
Not even a
exactly.
little.
I don't. No, definitely didn't help with critical thinking or decision.
I learned in college.
skills
I will give a shout out to Plymouth State and specifically like 2 or 3 professors that were able to help me think critically, and it changed my whole life. Like to be able to think critically and then make executive decisions. But yeah, high school, Tim, no. There was. I don't think we learned a thing about critical thinking.
Yeah. I remember that time where Mr. Doherty got super pissed at Katie Dodge because she said fag. Did you remember that? Were you in that class? I don't know.
I
But I love that.
Yeah.
Remember when she hit a kid with her car and everybody called her Dodge Katie?
Yeah.
Anyway, memories, right?
Memories. I will say this. I think the only teacher that I had in high school, and I got to give him credit, was Tesla.
Yeah,
He was
I think that's
big
true
on
for most people.
he was big on critical thinking, and I think
Yes.
that's why I liked him. Yeah.
Is he still alive?
I don't know. I hope so.
Huh.
I know he lived near where
Wally.
Jeff lived on a mountain. Like he was like a neighbor of him for a while.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Huh. Yeah, but Tesla was
memory
the one teacher that was like big on critical thinking, and he would like read text from like Shakespeare and be like, "What's that mean?"
Yeah.
If you fucked up when you answered, he would tell you.
Yeah.
So
Man,
Tim,
he was.
what are your holiday plans? Are you gonna be up in the Chet's neck of the woods?
Oh yeah, are you
not.
Yeah, Tim, are you coming here?
No. So we live with my in-laws, my mother and father-in-law.
Yeah.
And so we were thinking that well, one of Amber's younger brothers is coming and his girlfriend and then Amber's sister. And they're both coming from LA. We were sort of bracing ourselves for her youngest brother, who's queer and does a lot of drag in New York, and was going to bring his partner, who's a dude but taking hormones. And so we were.
Is he transitioning or?
Yeah. Oh, most definitely. And so we were sort of having conversations with the kids, and which is we've had to do this for years. I forget what I've told you guys, but there was a Thanksgiving 3 years ago where Zach dressed Hazel up in drag.
Yeah.
When I was at work. So there was a conversation we had. So there's from my perspective, I'm happy to have him come. But obviously there's some worldview differences, shall we say, that need to prepare the kids to walk that line of showing hospitality and inviting people into truth, goodness, and beauty. Also holding boundaries.
Yep.
Of what what's you're welcome to come here, but you're not welcome to share a room with your they friend or whatever you want to call them. So anyway, so it's not something we do perfectly, but it's something that we it's an ongoing conversation about showing the love of God while simultaneously holding boundaries, which is another form of love.
Yeah, I agree with that, Tim. And I will tell you this, like you and I may disagree on the whole transgender thing, but I will say this, I am on your side and I am totally respectful of you. You don't look at someone else's kid and when the parents are away, decide you're going to influence them in any way, shape, or form. Like I'm amazed at your restraint, actually, because if it was my kid and like anyone did something similar to that in any way, shape, or form, I think I would lose it. So I want to give you a compliment on your restraint.
Hey, thanks. Yeah. So another thing that probably influenced him. So he's not coming. He initially said he was.
Yeah, he's not now. Yeah.
Yeah, because Kathy, he sends Kathy texts, including links to the pictures he takes, which are all obviously queer. And some he was highlighted in some trans publication, and it was pornographic images. And this is not the first time this has happened. And so Kathy, a 76-year-old Christian woman, understandably, I mean, apart from, religion and whatever worldview, there's a certain level of like, propriety that you don't send pornographic text to old ladies. That's just sort of like an agreed upon social norm.
That's his mom though, right?
Yeah, it's his mom.
Yeah.
So, who knows the reasons for that? It might have just been like, hey mom, be proud of me, or
I can explain it. He's wrong, by the way. I'm going to start by saying he's wrong to do that, but I can explain it easily. You feel rejected by society, by everyone. You found yourself, you found who you want to be, and then you're like, this is who I am. And you don't stop to think for 1 second about how other people might feel, and you just go. And I think that's probably what happened. And I do feel for the 76-year-old woman, like I do feel for her, because sometimes you just gotta understand, like you said, Tim, boundaries. You gotta have some boundaries. If you choose to live your life a certain way, okay, fair enough. But like respect the boundaries of the people around you. Like make sure you understand. Like I never want to hurt anybody. I never want to make someone feel bad, ever. So when you cross that line, and even if it's like one of those, I can't think of the phrase right now, but even if it's like like one of those, like I'm becoming who I am kind of things, like one of those, you still have to respect that line. And when you don't, I think you lose your spot. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I think the word that I would use is like, people that are transitioning, people that live that lifestyle, that have those beliefs, they're looking for inclusion. But that inclusion has to come with, like you said, Tim, borders. Like there's got to be clear-cut conversations, adult conversations about, especially when there are kids involved, it doesn't matter their age, because in this day and age, and we've kind of brushed on it several times with the podcast, but I'd actually like to hold this topic sometime and have you come on and speak a little bit more.
I would love that.
It.
But, I would love that.
But you can, I watch TV now, and I watch a commercial, and the commercial is like, it'll be about
like the Jaguar commercial.
Yeah, a pharmaceutical drug, and like it's a a gay couple, girls or guys, it doesn't matter, but there's no question to an adult what their status is. And then if my child happens to be, and those commercials don't come on at certain times, like, right? It's not like Skinamax where you have to be up late at night and you see they come on all the time. And then when again, a kid sitting down playing with their toys, and then they happen to look up and see that commercial, and then it brings about questions, and like questions that they wouldn't normally ask or think about until they see something like that. And like again, if we're walking down the street and they see something, two guys holding hands, and then that creates questions, then that's the level that we allow our kids to be exposed to, right? And that's
and
by
the way,
as parents. But
I have to say this out loud because I know we're recording, and I'm going to run for office one day, and Tim's going to be my running mate. As we're recording, I will say I'm okay with those commercials. I don't care. Like I can talk to my kids about that. What I still stand by, though, Tim, for you, is like if someone in your absence tries to influence your child, absent of you being there, I can see why you would have rage. Like I would have rage over that. But I don't mind the commercials, Nate. I don't I think, but at least that gives my kids a chance to ask me the question. Whereas like Tim, you were not offered that.
But my question is why do we as society need to go to those? It's a commercial, and it's not a commercial. That it doesn't the commercial doesn't need to have us question anyone's sexuality. It can just have people in it. Like you don't need to have that question brought about in that commercial specifically.
And that's why Democrats lose, Nate. That's why Democrats lose.
It's that level of inclusion. Like again, but when we're talking about people do have certain beliefs, right or wrong, they have their own beliefs, right or wrong. Like they're again, to put it into a different perspective, a Disney movie with the Buzz Lightyear was the last one that I watched.
Yeah.
That I noticed.
Yep.
There's a gay couple. There's a gay couple in that.
In Buzz Lightyear?
Yes.
Okay.
The last Disney movie. It's very subtle. You don't see it. It's two women. They're together. They're in the military or some sort of military entity, and then he goes back in time and then comes back to the future. Goes through a wormhole. They have a kid. There's pictures. Like you don't actually see the two together per se, but there again, as an adult, you're seeing this and questioning this.
Yeah.
And then it's like tough. Again, it brings about questions to an adolescent that normally they wouldn't be exposed to at that point in time in their life to ask those questions.
Let me ask you a tough question, because this is the tough question. This is where it comes from. What if you had a kid and one of them was gay, and because they felt so rejected by society, they commit suicide? Whereas like a Buzz Lightyear movie that shows that like maybe this is actually kind of normal, it helps them get through and they find a way. Because I think that's the argument.
Again, as a parent, though, those are the conversations I had.
Yeah,
I had conversations with my daughter before all of this was mainstream. Right? I told her, I don't care what your sexuality is. If you question it, we're here to answer any questions. Whether you're gay, straight, bisexual, I will love you no matter what your sexuality is, and I will support you no matter what. But again, for her at a younger stage in adolescence to be exposed to something like that without I think if you go see a Disney movie, you're not expecting to see that. I think that's fair. I don't see the value in it, other than again getting children at a younger age in adolescence asking those questions.
Well, that's why Trump wins, right? Because America, no, I'm serious. Like I'm not even like pissed about it. America is upset that we focus more on sort of like the periphery as opposed to what's actually going on in the country.
Uh-huh.
And so if you focus and I voted for Kamala Harris. I'm gonna straight up tell you guys the truth, right? But
You
I
piece
was
of
not
shit.
surprised when he won because we're focused too much on the periphery. What's that? What did you say, Nate?
I was just joking.
He just
and I
called you a
said, "You
piece of shit.
I'm just kidding.
It's okay though. You can give me shit. You can give me shit because like
I don't think anybody that voted for her is. I'm just playing devil's advocate.
no, I think the reason he won though was because people are fed up. They're fed up with like people are unable to buy food. Inflation is crazy, and then we're focused so much on the periphery. And I don't mean the periphery as into make them seem less than, but like we're talking about transgenders and gay and all that stuff. Like I really think that what happened was America got sick of it. And we were like, let's focus on the people that live here and what we need day to day. And Trump was like the perfect candidate for that, right? Like, I'm not going to sit here and talk about things in the periphery. I'm going to talk about the border. I'm going to talk about economy. I'm going to talk about this. I'm not surprised he won. Like, even when I went and voted for her, in my mind, I feel like I knew. I was like, this Trump's going to win this one. So how do you guys feel about Trump going forward?
Before you filled out your ballot, were you just like looking at it with your head down and then just shaking your head?
Kind of.
God,
Honestly,
this is the best the free world has to offer, huh?
I was looking because I don't like Kamala Harris either. I want to put that on record. I remember
Right.
it was I forget who it was, but I was so excited when this happened. But when Kamala Harris ran like 4 years ago, some candidate that ran against her said something like, "It's so strange, Kamala, how you are all about Black Lives Matter and how we need to not put people in jail. But you were a prosecutor putting people in jail for years, and half the time they weren't even guilty." And whoever said that, I wish I could remember who it was. It was so good. So
Isn't it Tulsi Gabbard?
was it? I
I
think
don't
that
know.
might be who. I think that might be who it was. Tulsi Gabbard. Yeah. Yeah. It was so
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, now that Tulsi Gabbard left the Democratic Party, I think Nancy Pelosi takes the crown as the hottest Democrat. So they don't have they don't have much going for her. The crown falls to her.
Oh my God. That's
yeah,
fun.
on the serious note, Tim, like I'd love to, like, if you want the next time you come on, if you
Yeah,
can
man.
play in that, or like I'd love to just, a couple bullet points, couple topic points that you want to hit, and then we can
Yeah.
run with it. But
Right.
mean,
Yeah, well, I'm coming from a Christian perspective, so having purpose and design and all that it's how I view things. But yeah, I'm actually really thankful that we have this situation in our family where this is going on, because it's like my kids, we talk about it a lot. My kids, I feel like they're way above their peers in having hands-on experience with these kinds of ideologies that have legs that come into our home, and we interact with these people. And what does it mean to love, but also have truth, grace and truth at the same time? And then in the ER, I mean, the kids just get younger and younger, and the suicide and all that stuff. So it's, I think that we might be heading for like a tsunami of suicide, just because of the, right. I mean,
Yeah.
particularly those who have actually taken the hormones to transition.
He's still here, by the way.
Yeah. There's no coming back for that. There's no detransitioning in the sense of getting back to, a prepubescent thing, so things can develop normally. what's done is done, and you're kind of left in no man's land. You're neither a female anymore, neither are you male. You've got some weird facial hair, and you're balding, and your body, what is the word I'm looking for? How your body weight is distributed. Yeah, how the body weight distribution is all funky, and it's very sad. And so there's a lot of sympathy for these young men and women who have done that and been tricked, I would say tricked into this way of thinking. So it's just kind of sad.
So Tim, I ask you this because I'm with you, honestly, from a psychological perspective as opposed to a religious perspective.
Uh-huh.
I am with you. I don't understand how you can be that young and change your body and you don't get to take it back. But if you do take it back, it's going to be like a horrible, horrible experience for you. So I'm with you there. But religiously, do you think it's because you said you Christian perspective, right? So like, is it like the devil's work in your opinion?
I attributing bad things to this or that is difficult to do sometimes.
Sure.
I don't think mankind needs any help sinning and being stupid and being foolish. I certainly don't. So I think that there's sure. In what capacity is the devil or Satan or demons involved in this? I don't know. But I think it's much more of a spiritual poverty that is the consequent of really crappy philosophy that we've let into our world, coupled by a cowardice church who has not taken the responsibility to speak up against it in a way that's effectual or intelligent.
Why is it cowardice? Because I do agree, like spiritual cowardice is there, but like where is the church gone wrong? Because I feel like I see them all the time, like message all the time. So what would you want them to do?
Well, so I'm debating on how far back I want to go here because I've generally everybody understands that life has kind of a story shape to it. Sure. There's a beginning, there's a middle, there's an end. There's a climax, and everything ends somehow. Yep. And the way things end informs how you live. Like if I say you're going to die in 6 months, that's going to inform how you live in the present, right?
100%. Yep.
Yeah, right. We all know this. This is intuitive. You're not going to probably start a school if you got 6 months to live. You're like, I'm going to hang out with my family. We're going to go to Europe. We're going to have experiences. So, conversely, if you're like, hey, just so you know, magically, you've got 500 years to live. And we don't know how, but we just know you're going to live 500 years. That's going to obviously change how you do things. And so the biblical term for this is called eschatology. That just means an understanding of end things. Okay. Now, eschatology is not a specifically religious concept. Everything has an eschatology. You have one, whatever that is.
Yep.
And in the 1800s, there was a lot of things going on. And to make a long story short, it was really kind of a flourishing of eschatology. You saw a lot of things come out of that. You saw something called dispensationalism, which I'll tell you in a sec. Another thing is the Mormon Church, Jehovah's Witnesses. You also had Marxism coming out of that. And Marxism is nothing if not an eschatology. Mm-hmm. So Karl Marx said socialism is a stepping stone to communism, which itself is a utopia, right? So there's an end game there. One of the eschatologies that the church generally developed essentially is, you've heard of the Left Behind series. Did you ever hear those or read those books or hear of them? It's essentially that the world's going to get worse and worse, and then Jesus is going to return and he's going to rapture the church.
That's the apocalypse, right?
Sure. Yeah, that's exactly right. So they take a lot of this stuff from the book of Revelation, from Daniel, essentially the idea is sometime before our next oil change, the Lord's going to come back and rapture us. And so you save as many people as you can, but culture is not savable. It was never meant to be savable. And so don't waste your efforts engaging in cultural things, conversations, building things. We just need to save people because we got to get out of here soon. And so what happens with a church that dominates a culture that has that as its mentality, you have a withdrawing of morality, a withdrawing of having a seat at the cultural table, or even serving the meals at the cultural table. And there's no such thing as a vacuum. And so what takes over are the other philosophies, and in this case, it's existentialism, which says their existence precedes essence. We exist, and then we have to define who we are based on our decisions. And so the reason that I say a cowardice or a misappropriation of eschatology in the church, what that has caused is a withdrawal from the cultural conversation, which in other times would have been active in speaking the truth into things like transgenderism, or in some, and of course you've always had people who have been mouthpieces throughout history, but generally the bulk of the church in America adopted a certain dispensational ideology, eschatology, which caused them to withdraw, causing a negative space. And then what came in was, all of the existentialist nonsense and postmodernism, of which transgenderism is a result. So that's what I mean by cowardice. That's a very long explanation.
No, I love it though. Like, Tim, seriously, like when I tell you that you are one of the people that I hear, like I'll never probably be a born again Christian. Like I love you for trying because you love me, and I get that you always want to get me there. I get
Well,
that.
you can't say never. God's sovereign, so if he wants you, he'll have you.
Fair enough. But I think you are wildly intelligent, and when you explain things, there's actually like a legit rationale to them. It all makes sense. So thank you for answering that question. I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
I definitely love to again do this conversation about this.
Yeah, sure.
Podcast.
When I don't know when if you guys are gonna do Friday, how are you guys doing? Like the holidays? Are you taking a?
Yeah. So this week is weird for me because Friday is my favorite day of the year. Can I tell you guys?
Why?
Can I embellish a little?
Yeah.
What I love is that on Friday, the kids, myself, my wife, we go get the tree, right?
Oh, nice.
I get to drive drunk once a year, but not actually drive drunk. Like it's like I park the car in the yard. I bring the tree up. I bring it through. And then what we all do is we all hang out together. We play this song game. There's like a song quiz that we play. And then at the end of the night, I'm allowed to take the car from the yard back to the garage. And so, and I love that moment. And so, but after we get the tree, we go to dinner. It's so fun. The kids have such a great time playing the song game. My wife is happy. And so that's what we're doing Friday. So I wasn't sure, Nate. I think I said maybe Wednesday, but I can make Friday work. I will make Friday work for us because again, to your point, Tim, I am very grateful for my boys. So I will make Friday work, but I was wondering about Wednesday.
Yeah. So anyway, well, just text me what works. I have to talk with my wife to see if that would work, but just if you guys are planning on, I definitely want to try and show up. We're going to have family. So I probably will want to get away. So.
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
So that might be a good.
I get that.
I think we did decide on Friday.
Okay. I'll make Friday work.
It's up in the air.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be. We can actually just shelf it and do it next week.
No, we
I
can't
mean,
show things. We're
but
family.
it's an important, but it's an important holiday. So I mean,
It is.
it's okay.
It is. No, but I want to make sure we do it. So, if it's Friday, it's Friday. What I'll do is I'll go get the stuff to dinner, and then even if I show up a little bit later, that's okay, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll make it happen. We got this.
We'll
All right.
fix it.
By the way,
All right, man. I gotta go.
yeah. How's your
All right.
fire, by the way, before you go?
Good. I'm gonna leave it to. It's nice and hot. I might get get my kids out here, but
I love that. All right. Good night, my friend. Thanks for joining us.
Enjoy
I
the rest of
appreciate
your
it.
See you
Sunday,
guys.
Yeah.
all right.
Later.
Bye.
Bye. And Nate, I'm gonna go put this little man to bed.
Yeah, for sure.
But
Hey.
yeah, so
I'm just gonna sign off.
we're thinking Friday night this week.
Yeah, Friday night.
All right.
Thanks for joining us for another episode. Like, share, and comment, please, on anything that you liked or disliked about this episode. And